I have a gentleman from Rochester who is a health insurance guy, and we're not trying to promote his company. This is not a commercial, but he is very, very knowledgeable. In fact, he briefed some members of Congress. I won't mention which one in particular that was interesting, but he briefed some members of Congress about Obamacare and found out they hadn't the slightest idea what they'd voted for. That doesn't come as a great surprise. Mike King will be my guest today. We're going to talk about what you have to wade through with your health care insurance.
Next on News Talk, AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show with Kevin Doran.
Okay, Mike King is with Century Benefits Group, an employee benefit advisory organization from Rochester. He's also a CSRP. What's that mean, Mike?
That's Certified Retirement Service Professional. It's one of the designations in the employee benefits field.
Okay. And from talking with Mike over the years, and we have our insurance with him, I know he's a very bright guy, and we're not here to promote Excellus. That's the company you're talking about?
Well, we're going to talk about all the insurance companies.
Okay, we're not here to promote any insurance company in particular. We're going to try to help you figure out what you should do. And I'll stumble through a bunch of questions, Mike, but you know the questions you're getting more and more of. So let's start with that. What are people asking you now that Obamacare is the law of the land?
This is important. The open enrollment date is to February 15th of 2015. This is a time that if you want to make any changes to your current plan, if you have an individual plan, either on the New York State Health Insurance Exchange or a direct plan through an insurance company, you can make changes. If you don't have insurance, you can enroll in a plan, no questions asked, no pre-existing conditions, and you can actually get a plan effective for January 1st, okay? The big thing that I think, the big misnomer, is a lot of people don't realize that we have an individual mandate now. And that's an important component because...
I thought they postponed that.
No, that's not been postponed.
Okay.
There's been some postponements in regards to employers offering health plans to their employees if they have over 50 employees, but the individual mandate has been in place, actually as of this year, the 1st of 2014. Why that is important is because if someone does not have health insurance, when they do their taxes this coming spring, they're going to have a penalty. Now, most media talks about, it's not a big penalty, it's $95, but they forget to read on with the sentence. The sentence says it's $95 or the greater of 1% of your income.
Which could be a lot more for some people.
That's right, exactly.
And it's never less than 95, but it could go up to a significant number?
That's right. Well, if someone makes $40,000 a year, that penalty is $400.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And that's not a humongous sum.
But if someone's expecting a tax return, like we all expect our tax return to buy something extra come April, guess what? If your tax return is for $100 and you owe $400 of a penalty, you will not get a tax return this year, next year.
I've never believed in saving with the government because they don't pay any interest. So I try to plan it out so I'm not getting any money back but not spending. And I find it's easier to overclaim, if you will,
sure,
and at least not have to run into those unexpected things. But that's neither here nor there. So you say the big question that people have when they talk to you, and you represent more than Excellus, right?
Yeah, we do all the insurance companies in New York.
All the insurance companies. How many are there in New York?
I think there's around 25, roughly, different insurance companies.
Okay. Well, we happen to be enrolled through you with what we used to call Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Sure.
Now it's called Excellus.
Right. Yep.
What are some of the other questions you get, Mike?
Well, the big question is from the individuals particularly, is do I qualify for a subsidy?
Right.
This is really important. I'll give you an example. If you're a single person, okay, and you make, for next year, if you make above $16,105, but you make less than $46,680, you are going to qualify for a subsidy on the New York State Exchange. If you're and by the way, it's adjusted gross income, which is the bottom of the 1040, okay? So you might have to ask your accountant to get a copy of your taxes. This is how it works in New York. If your income is below $16,105, you qualify now for Medicaid, okay? If your income is above $46,680, now we're talking about individuals now, single person, there is no subsidy. But if you're in between $16,105 and $46,680, you qualify for a subsidy. The lower the income, the higher the subsidy. So, what questions we get from people is, should I go on the exchange and get my health plan? And my answer is, yes, you should if you qualify for a subsidy. If you don't qualify for a subsidy, you can buy an off-exchange plan direct from the insurance companies.
Now, I think I heard somewhere, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, that once Mr. Obama and Pelosi and Reid came up with this plan, that they made it clear to the insurance companies that whatever plan they had, the insurance companies should reflect that in their regular policies to people who aren't on Obamacare. Am I right about that?
Yeah, here's what's interesting now. All health plans in New York State have the exact same benefits. There is no difference from benefits from any of the health insurance plans. We call those essential benefits that are required to be in there. The only difference in health plan now is basically three things. Does the plan have a deductible or a no deductible? So many plans now will have deductibles.
Big deductibles, right?
Some of them are large, yes. The larger deductible, the lower the premium, okay? The second piece is some of the plans will have co-pays after deductible, and that can vary, okay? And the third thing is the network of doctors and hospitals. That's the first place that you may want to start. Before you pick a plan out, ask your doctor or hospital, hey, who are you in network with? And here in Steuben County, as an example, there are three major carriers that sell health insurance on an individual or group basis. Excellus Blue Cross is one, MVP is second, and Fidelis is third. And they sell individual plans, Fidelis. So you want to ask your doctor if they're in network with one of those insurance companies or any insurance company.
What if they're not?
That's an issue. You may not want to pick that insurance company. You want to find out who they are network in, because you may not be able to use it at that doctor.
Now, you said that people with a adjusted gross income under 16 something.
Right.
That's not hard to be, by the way, after you take out all the deductions.
That's true.
What if they're under 16? What if it comes down to 15.5? What happens then?
Well, what happens then is they qualify for Medicaid. Now, the good news is that there's no cost for Medicaid to those people.
And the bad news is?
Well, the bad news is that we all pay for that. That's part of our taxes. Some people don't want Medicaid. I'll give you a great example. My next-door neighbor who owns a landscaping service, he does lawns and he does snow plowing. His adjusted gross was below the $16,108 because of all the deductions he takes. So he qualified for Medicaid, and he didn't want Medicaid. So unfortunately, he wanted a real health insurance plan, and he had to pay full price for that plan. He get no subsidy. He had to either you get Medicaid or you pay the full price of the plan. If your income is below, we call it 138% of the federal poverty level. That's technically what they're using.
I know that right now people are saying, I wish I could ask Mike this question, but this program is being taped, and I wasn't able to get him live. So if you have any questions for Mike, tell them how they could get in touch with him.
Yeah, we have there's about two different ways. We have a toll-free number at our office at 1-800-458-7805.
Yeah, I'll repeat that several times, yeah.
And my email address is also available at mking, K-I-N-G, at about, ABOUTCENTURY.
AboutCentury.com.
Exactly.
Right. I'll repeat this again, folks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask Brian O'Neill to write those down because people may call in and say, hey, what were those numbers again? I want to ask Mike a question. And again, I want to stress we're not trying to promote Mike as the only guy you can talk to. Obviously, there are many, many more. We'll be back. Here we are back on the, what were you saying, Mike?
No, I was going to say, for those people who may qualify for Medicaid, who have low adjusted gross income, here in Steuben County, the Rural Health Network is called a Navigator. And Navigators are also designed to help people qualify for health insurance programs.
So they can go to them.
They do a very good job at those people who qualify.
What about Allegheny County? We're half in there now.
Yeah, there's Navigators in all counties, actually.
All right,
I don't know who the ones in Allegheny are, but I know Steuben County Rural Health Network is also a navigator.
Mike, I don't want to put you on the spot, but hasn't Obamacare been a terrible mess by and large?
It's been a lot of changes. Now, it depends on what side of the table you're on. For some people, it's been a godsend because they've been able to get health insurance now they haven't got in the past.
Oh, didn't they have Medicaid for those folks?
They had Medicaid, but if you recall, part of healthcare reform, and here in New York State, they raised the threshold for Medicaid eligibility as part of this program. So there were some people who didn't qualify for Medicaid, couldn't afford insurance, and now they're able to get Medicaid.
Yeah, but those people were never denied care. Am I right?
That's true. All health hospitals have to take care of it. It's true.
That's right. I mean, people say, well, they didn't have any insurance. Well, that's all right. They go to the ER. But, you may have a lot of insurance. But so now, nobody was denied. This is the thing that has always bugged me when people would interchange the word health care, maybe that's two words, health care with insurance. No, they always had health care. They just didn't have insurance.
That's a good point, yeah.
And so when you say we're picking up the tab for Medicaid, we've been picking up the tab for illegals and people without insurance, God love them, for a long, long time.
That's true.
And it's all been the taxpayers.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Obamacare has made a lot of changes and a lot of work. And I have to say, some of the things there are they went too far, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. I mean, they want to make some changes, which is understandable. But I think overall they went way above what for the first year of a change, they went way above what we would see as a reasonable level for businesses to comprehend, to adjust their programs, to adjust their budgets. And most of the large businesses now have to hire consultants to go through the regulations. Yeah. It's enormous.
Well, that's what you are. We're not a large business, but we have to rely on you.
Yeah, it's amazing that most businesses now need a consultant to navigate through healthcare reform.
Okay, now what about employer-paid health care? That is supposed to go into effect this time, isn't it?
No. What happens is, by the way, there's been 23 different regulations that have been delayed from healthcare reform. That's how many regulations have been delayed over the last 2 years.
Because these guys had no idea what they were doing.
Right. There's so much work involved and so much things. But no, employer, here's the deal. For businesses less than 50 employees, and I mean 50 employees, I mean full-time equivalents. That's important.
Well, explain that. That is important for people who are in business around here. Right?
Full-time equivalents is anybody who works over 30 hours a week is considered full-time. Now, if you have two part-time employees at 15 hours apiece, you've got one full-time equivalent. So it's not inconceivable that some employers that are close to that edge may have more than 50 full-time equivalents, including part-timers, including full-timers. But if you're under that number, you're not required to have health insurance, and there is no penalties for you.
Yet.
Okay, yet. Now, those businesses next year, this is a big deal for those in 2015, if you have over 100 employees, you're required to offer affordable health insurance. Offer to your employees affordable health insurance. It's not just that you offer health insurance, there's a definition of affordable. And basically, what it simply means is that it cannot cost an employee any more than 9.5% of his or her income to be classified as affordable, or you pay a penalty. Okay, that's for businesses over 100 employees. That same regulation of offering insurance in 2016 is going to be brought down to those groups between 50 and 99 employees. Okay, now there is no, as of right now, there is no regulation that says employers less than 50 full-time equivalents have to provide health insurance now or in the future.
I'm talking with Mike King. He is a certified, tell me again,
retirement service professional.
But he's also the guy we go to.
We're also certified for healthcare reform.
Right, okay. And he's with Century Benefits Group in Rochester. This is not a commercial for him. I just happen to know Mike. And I thought, hey, put the guy on the air. He knows about this. Most of us don't. And I'll tell you, there's no reason why we should. We've got our own issues. Why should I be an expert on Obamacare?
Yeah, it's becoming complicated.
Yeah. Okay, now, is New York State different than, say, Pennsylvania when this comes in?
Yes, it is actually. The big difference is that we have our own, we call it an exchange, a health insurance exchange. And if you want to know what the website is to check it out, I'll give it to you, okay? And we'll make a note here in the studio. It's www.ny, spelled out, state of health, ny, state of health.ny.gov.
Wonderful. Who's going to remember that?
Yeah,
All right.
but that's if you go to Google and type that in,
Yeah.
you'll find it.
Yeah.
That's where people can go to shop for insurance if they qualify for a subsidy. Okay, Pennsylvania uses the Federal Exchange. Okay, and there's about 38 states that use the Federal Exchange. That's healthcare.gov.
Period.
Okay, that's a whole different exchange. So New York is different. I will say that our New York City Exchange has been praised the way that it does and some of the things that it accomplishes. It's probably one of the better ones in the country.
Are a lot of employers now saying, sorry, we can't provide for you anymore, go to Obamacare? Is that happening?
Somewhat, yes. To some extent it is. And I'll tell you the reason. The employers that have low-income employees, okay, they're finding out that the subsidies they may receive on the exchange are greater than what they're contributing towards the plan. Well, in that case, it makes sense. If the federal government is going to pay more for these low-income employees than what I pay, some employers are doing that.
Isn't that real? And I think Obama even said this. He let it slip out. Isn't this really what they want, the Democrats? They want that to be the case so that everyone's on a government insurance program.
Well, I think long term, that's what appears what they're looking for. Now, we don't know how long that'll take. Or
Well, no,
when they'll get to that.
and we may have a new president in 2016 or a president with a different view. We'll certainly have a new one. We don't know what the Republicans controlling Congress will do. Apparently nothing, because the president isn't indicating he's going to work with them at all. So we have this situation now where people are confused, and I want to give you those numbers again. 800, this is for Mike and his company, 800-458-7805, and his email is mking@aboutcentury.com. And you mentioned going to the New York State thing. What's that again?
It's the New York State of Health.
Just Google that and see what happens.
Yeah, it comes up right away.
All right. Because those addresses sometimes are confusing.
And also, if you qualify for Medicaid, if you have low income, the Steuben County Rural Health Network can be an assistance to a lot of people.
One final question. Isn't it a fact that more and more doctors are refusing Medicaid because they lose money on
it? Some are. Okay, Medicaid doesn't pay. Medicaid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely Medicaid is very low reimbursement, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's lower than Medicare, and it's lower than what we call commercial plans, or those that are under 65, yes.
Okay. Mike King, thank you very much. And, folks, I hope you learned something. We'll be back with you tomorrow on the Newsmaker Show. Stay tuned now for news.